I want to talk about Power Slap 10 because you were all the talk after that Power Slap 10. I did learn that you didn't have the chance to go up against the champion in your weight division because of the ranking system.
Correct.
But your knockout was very talked about. So tell me about your Power Slap 10 experience. Tell me about the knockout. Tell me about just all the hype going in and coming out and how that all sat with you.
Power Slap 10 was an amazing time. You know, it was a time to reconnect with a lot of like the season 3 people that I've spent time with on the show, and all the new fighters, all the old fighters. So it was huge for me to be able to go out there and in the back of my mind, you know, really just try to put on the best performance that I can, you know, be the best version of myself, go out there and do what I'm supposed to do. And it wasn't until that very, I would say 2 days, 3 days before, and you can ask my wife, as the nerves start kicking in.
Oh,
and
I bet.
Not so much of who I'm about to face or what's about to happen, but more of like, it's something that's so uncomfortable, that feeling of being
watched.
You're on TV. People are gonna like you or they're gonna hate you. They're gonna love you or they're not gonna like you. It plays so much on your mental state at that moment. And for the 2-3 days building up to that media day and going there, because we arrived very early. You know, we arrived on the 3rd and the fight was on the 6th, so we stayed there that whole entire time. And you know, we get to go out and have these little events and things that, you know, Power Slap has put together, and also a lot of the people that do interviews and podcasts. They're all there and they're setting things up, and Slap News and the Petty Corner, and they just want to be able to share the stories. So Power Slap 10 was probably the most amazing feeling that I've ever had, just because of the fact that I get to reconnect with all the people, go out there and try to put on the best performance that I can. Yeah. And like you said, it was a point where I'm coming off of season 3. My initial weapon was taken away from me during the season, not by anybody else's cause except for my own.
What does that mean?
So I strike with my right hand.
Okay.
And during the combine, where they test you for your neck stress test and for the power cube to kind of set you against your opponent in your same weight class.
Okay.
I go and I do the neck stress test, and probably just about, I don't know, like 3/4 of the way through, somebody's yelling, "Hey, I think you got one of the highest scores." So I get up thinking, oh, well, I got the highest score. So now being very, I don't know, not open-minded to what it is, but more of just kind of like, oh, well, time to show off. I look around, I see all the cameras, and I go and I punch my hand, like, yeah. But I end up catching the inside of my finger, and I break my own pinky.
Oh my gosh.
Oblique fracture. Clean cut all the way across. I snapped that thing.
Just by getting excited.
Just by getting excited, and just by punching my own hand, I break it.
Oh man, that sucks.
Everything in my mind shuts down, and I start to really think about, like, was I really meant to be here? Is this what was supposed to happen?
Oh no.
Is this the plan for me? And it settles and it settles and it settles, and I'm like, well, they're gonna send me home. This is my one opportunity, and I didn't even get to perform. I didn't even get to do anything else except, by my own mistake, break my own hand. And this is gonna be too much for me. I'm gonna get sent home. I'm a Cancer, so I'm very emotional. So at that moment,
I would have been.
At that moment, I'm like, man, this is it for me.
That's literally the one thing that you need is your hand. It's not like you can, you know.
And that was it. And so we don't say anything.
Did it cross your mind to use your left hand?
It didn't.
It didn't cross your mind.
It didn't at that moment.
Because that's just your main.
It's just the feeling. The anxiety starts to kick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh well, they're just gonna send me home. Oh well, this is it for me. You know, all my stories up to this moment means nothing, and we're gonna shut it down, and I'm gonna go back to, you know, doing my normal 9 to 5, working in a gym, training people, teaching people how to do personal development and whatever it may be. But I mean, it's gonna go back to my regular 9 to 5 career instead of where I saw it was gonna go.
So what happened after that?
So I break the finger.
Okay.
they put me, so finger gets broken. We go through the rest of the actual like training combine where they do the setup for the power cube. And I'm standing in the left-handed line because now I'm trying to like, okay, well, I can't hit with the right hand. I broke it. The finger is snapped.
Yeah.
I have to hit with my left hand. And somebody catches me and they're like, hey, you're right-handed. It's like, you got to go in the right-hand line. And I'm like, no, I'll hit with my left. It's like, we can choose which hand we hit with, right? And he's like, well, just for, this purpose, you need to strike with the right hand just because the fact that that's your strong dominant hand, that's what you put down. Oh. So I hit the power cube with my right hand after the finger's already been broken.
And
probably messed it up a little bit more than what it was.
How did you do?
I mean, 31,000. I score a lot higher than that with my right hand, but it was on the low end. But
you didn't get cut.
I had to play it off. I had to play it off like I was going out there and just it wasn't no pain, nothing was affecting me, and they put me in the house after.
Okay.
And I'm there for 2 days. I'm washing dishes because part of the duties around in the house to clean up and do everything else. And producer walks in and he's like, "Hey, let me see that finger." And I show him my hand and it's top to bottom purple. And he goes, "Yep, you're coming with me. We're going to the hospital right now."
Oh.
I jump in the car. They also load the person that's in charge of all the travel. And they're driving with me all the way to the ER to get this X-ray done. And she's telling me, "Oh, well, we'll get all your stuff situated and get all your packet together. And obviously we're gonna probably end up sending you home because you broke your finger." They get the X-rays back. Yep, it's broken. And I look at them and I'm like, "Well, I got my left hand. Can I use it?" "Wait, what do you mean? You can strike with your left hand?" "Well, yeah, of course."
So it did cross your mind.
Yeah, but I also fibbed a little. I wasn't training with the left hand. I really didn't see anything. I wasn't hitting on any of my bags at home. I wasn't doing any of the proper training that, I wouldn't say I call myself an athlete, but as somebody that, takes into fitness, now understanding that, okay, well, you have to train everything. You have to
So you wanted to get back to the
right,
house.
you train your left, you train all of it. So
what was your game plan? Because you weren't planning on using your left hand.
Was talking about the left hand and saying that if I could use the left hand or not. And they go, "Well, have you practiced with it?" I said, "Yeah, of course I have." And they go, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll allow that. If you want to use your left hand, you can go ahead and continue with your left."
Okay.
So now it got me back into the house. And then and
you were just so determined.
That's all she wrote. And now that's exactly what I needed. I needed to have an opportunity.
Okay.
And now before my fight even comes up, before I even fight Devin Jenkins.
Hang on, before we get there.
Go ahead.
Did you slap with your left hand?
I did.
Okay, so you did slap with your left hand.
I did. My both fights in the season was with my left hand. It wasn't with my dominant hand.
See, that's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my first fight was a knockout in the second round. And I hit him first.
Okay.
I ended up clubbing or getting a very deep hit on his jaw.
Wow.
Where it hit the back part of the jaw instead of the lower end over the chin. Oh. And then he hits me. And then after that, I returned that favor. And that's when I knocked him out with the left hand is I think the biggest part was that I needed to shift the way that I was thinking about my delivery, the way that I actually go out there. I practiced it so many times where I have this, what I call, I've labeled the lean on one nation, but it's the lean on one. It's where you shift your body mechanics over to the opposite side of the target and then shifting it back across and sending it all the way through the target. So as you create that lean, it gives you the opportunity to be all the way through your target and where you're supposed to be instead of getting to your target and only meeting it at where it is. You need to continue and follow all the way through. So the lean on one, that's where it was created, was that moment and that time of like, okay, well, now I got to go out there and I got to deliver with the left hand and I got to make sure that this counts.
You're so calm and nonchalant, but let me tell you something. This is an incredible story of resilience and tenacity. You wanted to be there. You wanted to be in that house. You were willing to do whatever it took. You broke your finger. You came back from the hospital. You lied about being able to hit with your left hand. You ended up lifting with your left hand, you ended up slapping with your left hand for the first time. And you did well. And that was your first practice.
4 days.
All you wanted was just to be there and you were willing to do whatever it took. And you're really cool, calm, and collected about it, but most people would quit.
For
You
sure.
realize this, right? I mean, this
For
is
sure. Yeah,
this
people-
isn't like something this isn't normal.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that really quick, that, you know, people at this point, as much as it's put against them, there's all this adversity happening. A lot of people would break and they would quit at this moment, you know, and they would kind of give up on whatever is going on. And I just see it as like an opportunity. The way I looked at it at that point was, it's an opportunity to really show who I am, how my heart is, the way my mind works, my mindset, the way I'm driven. It's like, and it's probably going to make a huge stamp in this world for other people to be like, well, you know what? I just can't give up. I got to go out there and I got to give every single piece of me. I got to put everything on the line.
You literally did.
And that's what I said in all my past interviews leading up to Power Slap 10, was that I'm putting everything out there on the line. I have no excuses. I know exactly what I'm going out there for. I know exactly what I'm about to do. And at the end of the day, when I go out there and I deliver my performance, I'm not going to be able to come back and say, well, it's because of this, and that's why I didn't do good. Oh, because of that, that's why I didn't do good. No excuses. You put it all on the line. You go out there and you perform, and the way you perform out there is the way it has to be accepted.